You wake up tired, and you don't even know why. Not the kind of tired that sleep can fix, but the kind that lingers in your chest like smoke in a burned house. A quiet exhaustion, a heaviness without a cause. And it doesn't matter how much you rest. It doesn't matter how many goals you set, because no matter how much you try to pull yourself forward, your soul is still dragging behind. That's not fatigue. That's misalignment. You're not exhausted because you're doing too much. You're exhausted because what you're doing means nothing. You keep running, faster, harder. But toward what? You scroll through lives you'll never live. Compare yourself to strangers you'll never meet. Try to win a game that was never designed for you to win. And all of it, all the noise, the pressure, the ambition, the need to be seen, it starts to hollow you out. Because every time you chase something that doesn't belong to you, you lose something that does. That stillness, that clarity, that sense that your life is your own. And the tragedy is this: you weren't born for this pace. You weren't built to chase everything. You were built to return to yourself, to the present, to the small, slow truths that don't shout but whisper. But the world doesn't reward that. The world rewards urgency. It rewards burnout disguised as productivity. It rewards the image, not the inner peace. And so you wake up each day already behind, already inadequate, already measuring your worth in timelines you didn't create. And that's how they win. That's how you lose. Quietly, gradually, obediently. They don't have to cage you. They just have to convince you to cage yourself. Convince you to need more. Convince you to compete for a place you never asked to be in. Convince you that slowing down means you've failed. But maybe the most radical thing you can do in this world is to step off the wheel. Not because you've given up, but because you've finally remembered what matters. Maybe you don't need to prove yourself anymore. Maybe you don't need to have an opinion on everything. Maybe peace is not at the end of the road, but at the beginning, the moment you decide to no longer betray yourself. But that kind of peace costs everything the world taught you to value. It costs the identity you built on noise. It costs the validation you sought in strangers. It costs the comfort of fitting in with the frantic. And it hurts, not because it's wrong, but because it's honest. You will lose people. You will be misunderstood. You will walk alone. But you will finally walk your path. And there's a silence on that road that you haven't heard in years. A silence that isn't empty, but sacred. Because beneath all your exhaustion is a truth you've been avoiding. You've never been tired from effort. You've been tired from chasing things that don't matter. That title, that applause, that illusion of control, it was never yours. It was bait. And the moment you stop chasing it, your strength begins to return. Not in a rush, not all at once, but like dawn, slow, patient, inevitable. And, for the first time, you breathe. You really breathe. Not because everything's perfect, but because you finally stopped running from the present. The world taught you to fight silence, to fill every pause, to fear being still. But that's where life actually speaks, not in the noise, in the gaps between. Your value isn't found in what you chase. It's found in what you return to. And maybe this exhaustion isn't your enemy. Maybe it's your teacher. Maybe it's not telling you to try harder. Maybe it's telling you to try differently. You don't need to find yourself. You just need to stop abandoning yourself. Because the truth is, you're not behind. You're not broken. You're just tired of running toward nothing. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to redefine success. You are allowed to live a quiet life that makes sense to your soul, even if it makes no sense to anyone else. This isn't weakness. This is wisdom. And Marcus Aurelius knew this long before us. He wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, The pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke. So maybe the exhaustion doesn't come from the world. Maybe it comes from the way you've been taught to see the world. And maybe, just maybe, you're not tired. You're awakening. And now, at the very end of this reflection, ask this. When was the last time you moved slowly enough to feel your own breath? When was the last time you let a moment pass without needing to photograph it, explain it, share it? When did your presence become so entangled with performance? When did rest become something to earn? When did you begin to believe that the soul could only speak through noise? Let them run, let them chase, let the world spin in its frenzy. You do not owe it your sanity. You owe yourself stillness. You owe yourself mornings with no agenda. You owe yourself nights without screens and thoughts that are yours alone. And you owe your soul the silence it has been begging for, not because it makes you more productive, not because it helps you win, but because it reminds you what it means to simply be, not to become, not to accumulate, not to rise, just to exist without needing to justify your existence. There is nothing more revolutionary than peace in a world addicted to chaos. There is nothing more powerful than a quiet mind in a loud era. And there is no greater act of resistance than refusing to chase what empties you. This is not the end. This is a return to depth, to meaning, to the rhythm of your own breath. So rest now, not in retreat, but in rebellion, because stillness is a form of strength the world will never teach you to honor. But the Stoics did, and now, so will you. And if you still feel uncertain, if part of you is afraid to let go, good. That fear means you're stepping outside the script. That fear means you're touching truth. This world will tell you to seek more status, more hustle, more movement. But the deeper life doesn't shout. It waits. Not in the race, but in the space. Not in the noise, but in the knowing. Not in the storm, but in the stone that doesn't move. Let the others run in circles. Let the world scream louder. You breathe. You step back. You listen. Because the soul doesn't need to be pushed. It needs to be remembered. And remembering takes silence. And silence takes courage. And courage is what brings the wandering mind home. You're not lost. You're not broken. You're just finally done with the lie that said you needed to earn your place. You never did. You just needed to come back. And now you have.